Cinebois to Cinemen, episode 103.
103.
Hope you're well wherever you are, whatever you're doing. This week, The Bride.
Yep.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's sophomore effort.
That's right, yeah.
Quite a departure from her previous film, which I haven't seen.
Oh, I've seen it.
Good.
The Lost Daughter.
Halfway there.
A while ago.
Think enough to feel confident enough to talk about it?
Yeah.
Mescal's
Paul Mescal's in it, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he is.
Very briefly.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah, good. That's the spirit. We're off to a banger.
Yeah.
Preceding the cutting analysis of the film, we will be talking about genre films.
That's right.
Something that pertains to The Bride, as it borrows from a lot of different genres and is sort of steadfastly committed to each of them.
Yeah.
In a way that makes it feel quite jumbled.
Yeah, massively, yeah. I thought it was amazing. No. It's my favourite film. No, yeah, it's an interesting one. A bit of a... Well, I'll save it, actually. I'll save the chatter for when we discuss it.
Yeah,
but,
I guess basically it's relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go to the meat and potatoes, the Cinebois knockout rounds now are now. This is a well-oiled content machine. 103
episodes.
It is now out. So if you head to the Cinebois Instagram, if you don't follow us already, which I imagine most of you that watch us probably already do. But if you don't, Cinebois 2 Cinemen. Go on there, and there's a selection of films suggested to us by the adoring public, and we're starting the process of whittling them down. So I put them in a randomizer, and they've basically been sort of like the way, like a flow chart for the knockout stages of a World Cup.
Oh, okay, nice way to relate to it. Yeah.
So head on there and have your say. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
the more I think about it, the more excited. At first, I was a bit cynical about it. It felt like we were kind of adding yet more skid marks to the
to the gusset of
to the fucking toilet bowl of content. But the closer we get to it, the more exciting it seems as a sort of another avenue, a slightly different way to take this sprawling media empire.
Yeah,
there's for ourselves.
There's some films on there I really love, and there's some films I haven't seen as well. So
yeah,
a
couple of real left field, slightly odd choices.
If it's one I haven't seen, do you think I should watch it beforehand and then watch it again, or go in fresh?
You should say that. I was thinking that. I don't know. The answer to that. I sort of feel like no.
Okay. Go in fresh. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. So we don't accidentally put on the complete wrong film. No, yeah.
I won't put it past us, to be honest.
No, yeah.
Plenty to look forward to. In the meantime, you've got us and The Bride.
That's right.
Starting
now.
Questing the cinematic void. Oh, also, actually, before we get into the rest of the discussion,
whoa,
Oscars chat as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sort of throw that in at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Off the presses as usual.
Yeah. No, I've seen the list. I didn't watch it at all, actually.
No.
Some people were still really enamoured with having parties and things like that for it, but no, I just woke up in the morning and was, it was the Oscars last night.
I think we said this last year.
We did, yeah.
Thing. My relationship with the Oscars goes as far as looking at the results and then thinking about them for about 10 minutes and then leaving it at that.
Yeah.
But obviously they hold quite a bit of sway in terms of general public opinion, and also have an impact not only in how the films that win are perceived. I mean, not always positively, because we talk about it a lot. There are quite a lot of films that win and just sort of fade into the ether.
Definitely,
but also the careers of certain filmmakers and actors, I think, are pushed considerably post Oscar win.
Definitely. Yeah.
So and there's a couple of little interesting tidbits, particularly around Best Actor, which I thought were interesting. We could talk about.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's do it. Nice.
Anyway, first off, genre films. Obviously said it in the intro, but The Bride is a mishmash of many of them. Very much in keeping with the kind of contemporary attitude to genre.
Yeah.
To give you a sort of whistle-stop tour through them. Often in an effort to kind of add a bit of thematic, visual punch to a film that might otherwise be lacking it.
Yeah, no, I think the idea is that when you combine things, it sort of makes something new. I suppose that's the idea, isn't it? So they're trying to make a new genre out of it, a new and interesting, fresh take, or at least that's kind of what that's the goal. I don't think the result was really that, but it's interesting. Sometimes that kind of mishmash will work really well, and it will kind of signal a new dawn for a genre.
Yeah, and prove that there's still life in them.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that in like 2008 with the superhero genre. I mean, which I find incredibly irritating these days. But in that at that time, it got woven in with basically like a crime thriller.
Right.
Would you say with the Dark Knight?
Right. Okay.
And that mishmash was really successful because it worked. And audiences really responded to it, and then we got like 40 others from that. So yeah, that's kind of what I think. Maybe there was an attempt there at doing that.
Yeah, I think it's an attempt to add a sense of gravitas to them as well. I think I think audiences. I mean, I'm not going to say this with a kind of in a broad way, but I think perhaps more critics are quite cynical about mainstream Hollywood at the moment. Yeah. And it's a way to perhaps combat that by going, look, it's like these old films that you all love.
Yeah.
And obviously, we speak about the Joker a lot, but the Joker is a really good example of another kind of, I think, a far more catastrophic failure in the attempt to, recapture the sort of spirit of the sort of late 60s, early 70s New Hollywood.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas The Bride is an attempt to do lots of different genres, and we'll go into that a little bit, obviously, in the main discussion. But when I came out of the cinema and I was just thinking about it for quite a long time, it made me realise how hard it is to do a good genre film.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because, a genre movie, as the name implies, it's, very much indebted to a series of long-established sort of visual and thematic tropes and ideas.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And an audience member who is more than familiar with those is going to sit down and either expect an adherence to those in some capacity or the subversion of those.
Yeah.
And, I think sometimes, depending on the genre, it can be seen as low-hanging fruit to appease those tropes. But if there's if there's anything a damn good genre film has taught me, is that there's still plenty of life in them. If done well.
Yeah, I think so. I think I mean, one of my favourite genres is horror, but I think horror is more malleable than quite a lot of them. And like with regards to things like science fiction, you cannot help but bump into the giants, I suppose. Yeah. And it's really hard to stray away from that. Like, and you have an attempt to do, thinking like Gravity, with its attempt to move away from the sort of slow moving. Literally, the depiction of anti-gravity is, it's all got to be slow motion.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And that was an attempt to, and also to kind of depict space in a realistic manner, where there is no sound. So everything bumping into each other has zero sound, and the only sound you can hear is coming from the interior of the helmets. This is a kind of the playfulness that you get with
an attempt to inject realism to break new ground, maybe.
Yeah, and that happens with a lot of genres, actually, including horror, actually. And it was something Lee said a couple of episodes ago, which has stuck with me, actually, in that, the horror genre has undergone, in the sort of early 2000s, that kind of like torture porn era, I suppose, which is long gone now, actually, and I'm quite pleased, broadly speaking, although there was some good like sort of gems that came out of that.
Great.
First Saw, I really like Wolf Creek as well. Wolf Creek's really interesting, really nasty, but mostly it's like sort of lowest common denominator, like pretty naffly made, like post-exploitation, I suppose you could call them. But yeah, no, I think you have some genres like the drama, the family drama, which are really broad, and you can and they could be about almost anything, really. But then you have other genres like the science fiction genre, which is just the constraints are so, ironically enough, considering it's about space and the vastness and emptiness of it all, and you'd think that there'll be a wealth of new ideas there, but actually it's really constrained, I think, by its own trappings, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that kind of. I'm kind of getting from what you said earlier is that horror is kind of the more forgiving genre in that sense.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always been a genre that's kind of, there's obviously always been a few key films that have come out and almost kind of dictated the pace of the genre.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Indeed, the kind of, again, the themes, the visuals, the ideas. And there's something, it's also by its nature one of the cheapest genres to make.
Yep. Definitely, yeah.
And so it was a genre that immediately became something that became, one film would set the trend, and then there'd be countless imitators. And those imitators would often be haplessly derivative of the original. The budget would be less. They'd be coasting off either the name of the original film or the kind of vibe of the original film. And within that kind of low budget derivative nature, there is still somehow, on occasion, there's plenty of shit examples as well, of course, fun to be had. Within that, and I think that's what makes that genre particularly the most forgiving. I'd say action films are probably second to that.
Yeah,
in the sense that that's another genre that it seems to be one that, again, there is a few great ones and a lot of shit ones that follow suit. Either direct sequels or spin-offs, or indeed just films that sort of seek to copy or ape the formula in a shitter way. I'm thinking quite a lot of canon films did that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was like a cash cow, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of Vietnam revisionist films with Chuck Norris, R.I.P. by the way.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's those kind of, that was kind of canon films bread and butter, both in horror actually and in action, is to kind of like take the kind of dominant tropes of the time and kind of cheapen them for mass entertainment.
Yeah, definitely.
It's weird. Chuck Norris was kind of the standard bearer of that, particularly in action. Weirdly, actually, I was thinking about this after he passed away. It's funny that, this is a very brief aside, but
go for it.
It's weird to me that, politically, I couldn't be any more opposed to someone like Chuck Norris. And yet I was always drawn to his films.
Yeah.
And it's not just the phenomena, obviously there was the kind of internet meme thing that's kind of circled around him in the later stages of his career, but I guess in early internet meme culture, right? He was like one of the big ones, wasn't he?
Oh, massively, yeah, like 2005, all that stuff.
So much so, even like the BBC article about him after he died was full of those, which I thought was quite strange.
Really?
Yeah, it was really odd.
I suppose they got to appeal to a generation that only knows him for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably haven't seen any of his films. They just know him as kind of like an anonymous, like
cultural philistines.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Invasion USA.
You what?
But he kind of embodies that idea in a weird way. I mean, I remember when we did our Canon Films episode way back when with Lee, funnily enough, second mention for you.
Go on, Lee.
He said that their kind of canon films are kind of like the last great right-wing art, and I kind of agree with him.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I find whatever it is they're most trying to say most of the time, and their presentation of the world is totally reprehensible.
Yeah.
Yet there is real fun and value to be had in these kind of absurd and quite horrible views of how things are.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, I suppose the reason why they're so entertaining is because the world presented to you seems so extreme and seems so laughable. I mean, some people, it might not be so laughable. They might actually sort of agree with the politics.
Yeah. There's something they might sort of superimpose on their environment, and that's, you could argue a part of the reason why they were so successful, particularly in the 1980s.
I think like an attempt to. It's funny. Do you remember that film Werewolves? Did we end up talking about werewolves? We did, didn't we? It's that
with Frank Grillo.
Yeah. That was a sort of similar vibe to those 1980s right-wing action films, and
it's kind of.
I think
what's the Purge adjacent?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Which again is another film that you could argue is kind of ideologically parallel to the kind of canon film era action film.
Definitely, and also
it becomes slightly more progressive by the third one, but even that's a stretch.
It's funny though, isn't it? Yeah, I think a lot of. With regards to like American politics and that kind of thing, I think there's this strange preoccupation with like home invasions, and I think home invasion films do a lot better in America than they probably do in the United Kingdom, because there's something about America and the idea that your home isn't your palace, and it's not as safe as you might seem. That would maybe just carries more weight. I don't really know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is a fear of a lot of people in the UK as well. But I know a lot of people that don't even bother locking their doors.
Really?
Yeah. It depends on where you live. Obviously, if you live in a built-up area or a city, it's probably not wise to do that. But yeah, a lot of people.
Aren't you more at risk of being robbed when you live more rurally?
I mean, yeah, but you probably feel safer.
Yeah,
I guess, because you don't see or sense danger.
I always kind of thought you'd be safer in a bigger, more built-up area. It's sort of like the same sort of herd mentality of like herbivores. They stay together because the chances of them being eaten are quite low.
Oh, okay. I suppose some to kind of argue against that the density of population would increase the chance of a home invasion. I suppose.
I consider that. Yeah.
But then the suburbs are a kind of weird mix of that. Which is why The Purge is probably so successful in the United States.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them. There's
steadfast genre films as well in their own right.
Definitely, yeah. They're sort of thriller. I'd say they're thrillers more than anything. And
the first one was.
Yeah.
I think the second and third one become more like horror action films.
Wish fulfillment, I think, is the word for the sequels.
I would argue the first one's probably the most sort of. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen them. I think we watched them for the podcast.
We did.
But I felt like the first one, I guess it had a sort of earnestness that made it more troubling for me.
The first one was criticised for not being fun enough, actually, and being too serious. I remember because
see that
the reviews got more.
I like the second one, from what I remember.
Yeah, the reviews were kinder to the sequels because they sort of embraced the slight naffness of the kind of overt, really hokey political premise. I think that they kind of embraced
which
that,
would only work, which only worked because of the kind of foundations laid by other genre films before them from the 1980s. And again, this kind of revisionism that we like to seem to be doing culturally at the moment. It seems quite indebted to the 1980s, and I think it kind of makes sense, I guess, for horror and action particularly, because they're the kind of genres where arguably they were at their most kind of dominant. And they exuded that kind of influence in a way that they perhaps don't quite as much now. Certainly action, I'd say, although action has had its own kind of revival in the form of the John Wick films. Bringing that kind of idea of kind of the balletic nature of action and
exactly,
and the kind of aesthetic, and it's
very anti-Charles Bronson almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Charles Bronson by the Death Wish films, they're hardly. Although Death Wish 3 has a pretty. Is it Death Wish 3 with we just goes through like a poor sort of slum and just blows everything up?
That's right. Yeah, throws people out of windows and stuff. But he's not balletic doing it. He's not like a dancer.
Jesus Christ, no.
I think that's the kind of
sort of waddling around, isn't he?
Yeah.
It
looks like he's got a suit of armor underneath his jacket or something.
Yeah.
But like in stark contrast to Keanu
just
Reeves.
Stumbled from a hot dog eating competition or something. And back in the day, he was a fucking, that happens to us all. Happens to me now.
But that's the evolution of genre, isn't it? It's got to outdo itself, and I suppose you start with that and you end in John Wick, don't you? I don't know where it's going to go from there.
Well, it's very rare that you get a sort of serious action film, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I think that kind of the fact that John Wick has this, and admittedly did become slightly tired by the end, but this kind of self-awareness. The self-awareness only exists because it depends on its audience to have seen loads of action films beforehand.
Yeah.
So the kind of sense of humour and that kind of earnestness, is out of place in the action film, broadly speaking. And for that reason, I think that's part of why it was so successful. And that's what it goes back to what we're talking about in terms of how these genres, they are so dependent on audiences to have a pretty good idea of what it is that they're going to expect. And horror and action are very much similar to, very much a part of that.
Definitely, yeah.
Obviously, think about things like the Western as well. I mean, the Western's another great example of a very dominant genre. Obviously, it had its dominance larger during the classical Hollywood period, but and then it went through this period of revision where the tropes of the genre were sort of inverted or picked apart to sort of reveal the realities. So what you said before about the sci-fi and using the realities of space travel, for example, or exploration, I should say, in the case of Gravity, it's almost like a way to kind of take the genre elsewhere, but it's still reliant on those tropes that are established at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that, but you're right. The thing that came into mind was Traindreams, only because I watched it really recently, and that arguably that's a Western, and it's I think one thing that what's happened to the Western genre is actually as time has gone on, the era, because obviously you think Western, you think kind of like homesteaders, right? And the gold rush and like the Wild West, where there was no law and like sort of vast expanse of land which was just up for grabs. And actually, newer westerns, like neo-westerns, like Traindreams, are exploring more what happens at the death of that. And kind of bringing it more into the this is a video game, but like Red Dead Redemption explored that as well, like the death of the West, the American West,
which is, if you think about that, is in itself indebted to the revisionist westerns of the sort of 60s, late, films like, obviously we talk about that a lot, but The Wild Bunch is a great example, or I can't remember the exact time it came out, but Lonelyarethebrave with Kirk Douglas is another great example. These ideas of these archetypes.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned that before,
yeah, one of my absolute favourite westerns. No longer having a place in the world, and sort of there's almost something kind of like tragic about them trying to maintain it in this world that no longer, it no longer accepts them. But again, it only happens because of the groundwork done before.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're in a sort of the time that we're in now in terms of the contemporary films. Many of them are kind of looking to those times, looking to periods of classic cinema, looking to sort of flirt with kind of these, kind of more, I guess, periods, particularly if you, again, we sort of mentioned the Joker, but, this kind of idea of flirting with a period where perhaps filmmakers weren't so constrained by market imperatives,
studio system,
New
Hollywood, right?
Yeah, it's like an attempt to kind of like, bring back some of that spirit, but still very much within the guardrails of contemporary.
Yeah, they like packaged that idea up and almost selling it, but like entirely, this like the antithesis to what New Hollywood was meant to be all about, and it's using it as as wrapping paper, I guess.
I think when you think about The Bride in that context. It's got so many. It's indebted to a lot, really.
Yeah,
it felt like a really sort of kind of incongruent homage patchwork. There's so many different things. It had pre-Hays Code Hollywood.
Yep.
The gangster film,
massively.
Obviously, the horror.
Yeah, the horror and the kind of universal monster horror.
Yeah, which I guess you could argue is kind of pre-Hays Code as well. But certainly in its presentation of certain ideas and themes, but. There's a lot of commitment to these three genres, and there is and a romance as well. Romance,
yeah. Oh yeah, the list goes on. We'll probably find more in
or forget some.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Progressive in many ways in its sort of ideas. And post Me Too. There's a lot of stuff in that, especially in the first half. I'm not really sure. I don't really think it ultimately runs with those ideas, and I know that's not a genre, but it's in there. And
it's trying to use again that foundation of all those genres to say something about the sort of post Me Too landscape, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it also kind of uses the mixture of genres to kind of to sort of boldly proclaim that it's the kind of it's the most authentic representation of the feminine themes in Frankenstein. Because at the start of the film, that's kind of the proclamation, right? That Jessie Buckley playing Mary Shelley. Spoilers, but I mean,
sure.
She's kind of saying this is the best. This is the version that Shelley would have liked the best, or whatever. I can't quite remember. I'm paraphrasing.
I think the idea is that she's experienced success with Frankenstein, and she's actually kind of reflecting on the work,
and the fact that people are missing out on the themes that perhaps she wanted to sort of be at the forefront of the discussion more, and that reveals a lot more about the kind of circumstances in which she wrote it, and obviously the time period the book came out. And I thought that was a really bold thing to do.
Yeah. Execution could have done with a bit of work, I thought.
I mean, it focuses, it certainly has its focus fixed firmly on that. Its gaze is very much on the feminine experience in this kind of within each of the genres. And again, it's using that to kind of, as you said, to kind of make a comment about this sort of contemporary time, the world we inhabit. But yeah, I thought it was, whilst I didn't dislike the film, I kind of enjoyed my time with it. I found that to try and penetrate any deeper into any of the kind of ideas was not quite as fruitful as I think the film wanted it to be.
No, yeah, and I think like the execution of the whole Mary Shelley angle, right? That I just think it could have done with some work. Basically, you get these sort of black and white interludes.
Beautifully shot.
Yeah, like really gorgeous in and of themselves, but the way they're deployed and the way that you kind of forget that it's a thing for a really long time, and then it kind of rears its head again at the end. You're like, oh yeah, this was part of it. She's got like there's a sort of split personality thing happening, and she's sort of possessed by the sort of spirit of Shelley, and I just feel like if they had ran with that concept a bit more overtly, or not gone with it at all, it would have made for a better film. And I think maybe running with it more overtly would have been the way to go. Because like you say, it was a really interesting idea. And not like necessarily bad screenwriting either. Some of the dialogue, again, like Shelley's dialogue, is very kind of overt and almost over-exposition. I think over-reliance on exposition. Because you get what's happening. Like, yeah, it's not difficult, and it's sort of explained to you again, I guess.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you were saying before about the kind of inherently odd relationship this film has with its references and with with the kind of genres that it's indebted to, musical as well.
Yeah.
Because as you say, it's prepackaged within the contemporary landscape, and the film suffers because of that, because it can't linger long enough to make the kind of commitment to these kind of genres meaningful. It ends up largely feeling like window dressing. And that's a real shame. I also thought, going back to the Mary Shelley stuff, I didn't think it really succeeded in that either, to be honest.
Okay.
I think the kind of feminine rage that kind of drives the film, I thought, definitely had some, obviously thematically, that's something that I is very much on board with. But it's, it wasn't something that really kind of worked. I think because I when I think about the book, which is, it's been a long time since I've read it, but the ideas that kind of men are trying to circumvent birth, basically. So creation is a, they're trying to sort of deprive.
Playing God and
deprive women of that, and the masculine ambition that comes with that. I guess you could sort of say that it's there in the sense that obviously Frankenstein is, he's lonely and he wants someone to love, someone that will love him back, and he knows that no human being will be able to love him back, really. Something that's explored with far more sort of thematic impact in James Whale's The Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein,
which I admit is one of my favourite sort of, my favourite Universal monster film, one of my favourite sort of films of that period.
Okay,
So
you're fond of it.
Take from that what you will. I think you could say, all right, I can see that, the idea of circumventing that for your own means. But again, I just didn't feel that. I think it's up against so much.
Okay.
And that commitment to genre is really hamstrings the film. I think he could have done with just sticking to one, maybe two.
Agreed.
And leaving everything else at the wayside. I thought the musical stuff was superfluous. I didn't really. And that's not because I have a problem with musicals. At my older age, I've actually, I've warmed to them quite a lot.
I'm waiting for that to happen to me.
I get it. It's a tough genre for a lot of people. But it's not that I don't want to see it. It's just I don't think it really suits the film. It felt like more of an opportunity to go, this is the era. Well, look, another genre. Which, broadly speaking, is how Gyllenhaal et al. Handle a lot of the genres in this film. it obviously is trying to kind of hark back to that pre-Hays Code era of Hollywood, where, you know, obviously when we think about classical Hollywood in the sort of sense, you know, we think about a period where the kind of ideological constraints of government were very much, you know, part of the sort of storytelling framework of classic Hollywood.
Yeah, okay.
And that was obviously very conservative. And its attitudes towards lots of things were, you know, it meant that filmmakers had to be quite clever with their subversions and hide them within genre more tactfully, in a way that now, as modern audiences, we can look at and point at and go, "Oh, there it is." But back then, you know, it was something that was reserved perhaps only for, you know, the keen-eyed.
Yeah.
Obviously, in pre-Hays Code, none of that existed, so they could be a lot more sort of loose with the kind of morals of their characters, violence, sex.
Yep.
You know, again, it's obviously it's not full frontal or anything like that, but the way it interrogates the themes with greater freedom, greater intensity. A lot of Marlene Dietrich films, you know, obviously she came over from Germany.
Yep.
And she brought that spirit, that kind of, you know, of the kind of attitudes towards sort of gender and sexuality. She worked with Paramount for a while with a director called Joseph von Sternberg, who made some amazing work together. But I know I mean, from what I read, you know, when I was like really into those films, his sort of view of women was, I don't know,
not great even for the era, maybe.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is obviously pre-Hays Code doesn't mean it was like always. You know, it wasn't always.
It wasn't exploitation and that.
No, it wasn't. But it, you know, obviously, I'm not saying. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that before, you know, pre-Hays Code cinema wasn't like this kind of like safe, free thing. You know, obviously, it was still trapped by, had the trappings of the time. But what I mean is that filmmakers had more freedom to explore a lot of things that the more conservative ideology of classical Hollywood would have kind of really fought and really kept at bay, you know. And I think Gyllenhaal's trying to explore that. There's the scene where they go to the nightclub.
Yep.
And all that kind of stuff. It felt like it was a kind of very direct visual homage to that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, just kind of like flitted away in a little dance sequence.
Did she dip her toes into it, but then not really commit full?
And I guess maybe it's harsh maybe it's harsh to expect more. Maybe, you know, obviously I can imagine from Maggie Gyllenhaal's perspective, it's earnest. She wants to kind of pay homage to that kind of period.
Yeah.
I've watched interviews and the films she mentions, many of which are great. So it's not that, but I just think that, you know, it's hard for me to get past the fact that it just seems like a convenient marketing thing.
Oh, right, yeah,
you know, we're trying to appease, again, like I said right at the beginning, those critics who are kind of yearning for a kind of something else. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, harking back to the Joker, really, and its sequel. The first one was kind of acclaimed in that way because of its quote unquote sort of bold new direction for an existing genre, and people really identify with that. But then by the time the second one came around, it was like almost you could see behind the facade of the first one, and it fell flat on its face. And then a similar thing maybe is happening with this. I know it's not doing all that well. Reviews have been quite mixed. A lot of praise for the performances, obviously. Which are not bad, and like everyone's at the top of their game. Like, you know, you can tell that although the cinematography is, you know, perhaps lands like a lead balloon in places, it's earnest and it's really trying, and it's not exactly easy to get that look either. Is, you know, everyone's trying their very hardest, and it's just like there's something about it which feels like a mishmash of different bits, and you could argue that Frankenstein theme, you know, it is meant to be like that, right? That's the whole spirit of the character. Is that he is literally a amalgamation
of different bodies.
But I just think that's a shallow way of looking at it, because a film should be more coherent in that way. Like, it shouldn't really. well, I say it shouldn't. Like, it didn't work for me because it didn't commit fully to that one or two genres.
Exactly.
It's exactly what you were saying. Like,
Yeah, a good genre film finds life in the genre that it's in by committing to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
and that's something that, because there's this kind of there's a very excitable, I should say, effort to kind of like bring all these different genres together. Many of which, in a way, when you think about it on a kind of aesthetic and perhaps even thematic level, might work. But again, you've got to spend the time, you've got to develop, you've got to allow the worlds that you're kind of trying to build and the characters within them, you've got to give them space to develop. And I just didn't feel that was really happening at any point in this film. It moves very quickly.
Yeah.
And it darts around through various characters who I all think, like, for example, the sort of detective duo.
Scott, yes, Peter Skarsgård.
Yeah, and Penelope Cruz.
Yeah,
you know, they kind of shoulder the kind of noirish detective crime element quite a lot. Then there's this gangster subplot, which is like really poorly
That's
conceived.
one of the weakest bits, yeah. Second only to the musical aspect of it, I
thought. Definitely. Like, it just, you know, it relies on these characters to kind of just dip in and shoulder the kind of genre burden of each thing. But you sort of come away, but not only does it detract from the central love story and the great work done by the two leads, you know, in Bale and Buckley. Like, I just found that thing was a bit odd. And
the Bonnie and Clyde stuff, like it veered into that territory for a bit, for like 2 scenes, and then that kind of tied into the crime drama stuff. It was all very confusing and very it just didn't commit to anything. And I know we've already sort of said that, but like it in a different, I feel like it could have worked a lot better had it not been so showy and flashy. I don't know why that there was an element to it which I kind of thought, this just looks too expensive to be playing with this amount of genre. Yeah. Anyway, interrupted you there. Sorry, mate.
No, that's all right. No, don't worry. Yeah, I thought that the Skarsgård, Penelope Cruz stuff, I was a bit like, the bit with the whole cigarette, stop smoking, and it really reminded me of that, because Del Toro writes like that sometimes. I remember talking to I can't remember who I was talking to about Shape of Water, which is another film I'm not that keen on, really, but
fair enough. Don't mind it. I don't mind
the bit where Michael Shannon's character's talking about, he goes, "What, you want to know why I eat these sweets?"
Okay.
No, not really. It's not interesting. You know, it's like a line that feels like, you know, it's been written.
Okay.
And I know it's a fucking monster film, so you can, you know, you accept that, but it's another one of those things. It's kind of like the disavowal of the trope, you know. The cigarette, which is obviously the swirling cigarette smoke in the shadow, synonymous with the noir, synonymous with the crime genre, particularly of the era in which she's trying to sort of, you know, situate the film in, just, you know, pushing back against it as Penelope Cruz takes the badge and becomes the lead detective. You know, again, a commendable theme and in keeping with the rest of the ideas of the film more broadly, but because it's not developed well enough, it just kind of feels a bit clunky.
Yeah, big time.
And it doesn't sort of feel earned, which I think is a shame, given that it's like, the theme itself is more than deserving. You know, given the landscape that we're in culturally and the films that are kind of responding to that. You know. I thought their inclusion was one of the weakest, actually, in terms of characters, which is a shame because they're both great. But
they both perform it really well.
They both do well with what they've, do as much as they can with it. But and the gangster stuff, I was like, what the fuck?
There's a scene in a cafe where someone is the kind of post Godfather thing where someone always has to get shot in a cafe or a restaurant or something.
Just a way to kind of illustrate this guy's kind of like godlike, untouchable presence,
influence.
Exactly.
Carries on eating after he shot someone, basically, and that's meant to signify. Look how powerful he is, and look how much he doesn't care.
Too derivative.
Big time. And
it's a fine line with genre film. It is a fine line between sort of paying adequate homage and being derivative.
That's it. And
it's a real challenge, and it really, going back to what I said right at the beginning, it's not an easy thing to do to make a good, solid genre film.
I think a recent good example of that, and towing that line beautifully is weapons, and it has all that
Yes.
delicious genre stuff, but it does just enough to push it into the realm of something new and interesting. But that's not to say that it's not without the classic genre thrills that you can enjoy all the more
100% agree.
because of the inclusion of all the new stuff, and the Bride just doesn't quite manage it. It's a real shame to say. I think one of the scenes where it does manage it, actually, one of the early scenes which I really admired in and of itself, has this kind of like island of meaning in the film, was Christian Bale's first Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster's first interaction with the Doctor, where he's really like kind of very emotional and very lonely and very forthcoming about how lonely he is, and her response to that, and how they kind of start to work together to find out how he can combat this loneliness without basically scaring any of the members of the public, like and how to kind of feed his bruised ego. That was a really interesting bit, and I thought if they had run with that theme a little bit more without distracting you with all this other stuff, I thought that could have been a really interesting direction that the film could have taken about male loneliness. And again, like, that would invite similar comparisons to Joker, but in a much more favourable manner, I think. I don't know what you think about.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, I think particularly in the context of loneliness, and the fact that a lot of kind of Frankenstein's, his violent responses are kind of more of a kind of manifestation of how people view him.
Yeah.
So he has to kind of, he's fighting back against people that already think him abhorrent.
Yes.
So
right, yeah.
That's where the sort of sadness lies, right? His inability, almost the idea, and again, it goes back to James Whale's both Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, but the idea that kind of humanity is earned,
right?
It's not something that you're just given. It's earned, and if all it takes, obviously in the case of Frankenstein, you are, as you said, a kind of mismatch of rotting corpses. So it's probably quite a hard sell if people want to knock about with you, But the idea that that it's not just something that people attribute to you immediately. There are various sort of, I guess, various sort of different sort of socio-economic and or kind of physical things that can influence the way people perceive and act around you, and how much respect they want to give you. And I feel like this James Whale gets to he kind of, there's a real sadness, obviously. I mean, and obviously the book is very sad as well. You do feel sorry for Frankenstein, even when he becomes increasingly aggressive and murderous. His murderous nature is as a result of being rejected by not only his creator, but the sort of the race of his creator. There's like a lingering sadness around those questions about what makes you human, and what circumstances are you afforded human could have, and that's something that is relevant to this day, right? I mean, this, your humanity is often afforded to you on the basis of whether you're ideologically in line with dominant forces, or where you're born, or or obviously the colour of your skin, or whatever. All of those things do play a role in how human beings, how kind of people are socially engineered to think about you. Often by the powers that be. And I think there's something interesting about that the film doesn't really do anything with, given that it's obviously trying to be this kind of contemporary retelling of the story, taking those themes and molding them very aggressively into the modern time. I guess you could argue the film's sort of thematic preoccupation is mostly about sort of femininity, and how that's, in the post-Me Too landscape. There's literally a line where a character says "Me Too," right?
Oh, really? Right? Yeah.
I can't remember. Is it Shelley that says it?
That would make sense. Yeah.
It's either Shelley or the Bride who says it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I think one of the problems with the handling of that theme, and the idea of wandering around constantly being like either like ashamed of your appearance or ashamed of your upbringing or whatever. The problem is with this film, there's no consistency with it. Like, sometimes Frankenstein is completely masked and he's kind of covert, and he's got that hat, and he's hiding himself. But then sometimes he's totally unconcerned with that, and I don't think there's no development there. It's either it's sort of like peppered throughout the film, the varying degrees in which he shrouds himself.
I guess because the only time he really shows more of himself is in that bar, isn't he? Where he is surrounded by people that would be considered by society to be kind of
fringe.
Yeah.
So but then there's also that scene in the ballroom where he's serving drinks.
Oh yeah,
he's fully like he's just completely content with himself all of a sudden. He's content with approaching his actor,
his hero.
Yeah, which
again is another messy scene in the film.
Yeah, really strange. But I mean, like, why? Surely you should be shrouded a little bit if that theme is to be explored. I just thought that sometimes he was, they didn't play
fast
with that
and
enough.
loose.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
a nice idea, and just not really developed properly.
I guess we've mentioned the Joker quite a lot, but there's a reason for that, because there are sort of narrative similarities. The idea that essentially the bride in that scene that follows basically goes around the room of these rich, powerful men, or men that hold positions in societally powerful positions, such as the police.
Yeah.
And basically can experience the trauma that they've imparted on the women in their lives.
Yes.
A lot of which they've managed to get away with because of the power that they enjoy, or because of the trap, or because of the time. And it then inspires a kind of city or nationwide sort of feminine fight back, where a lot of women to cover themselves in this kind of makeup, or it's not makeup, is it? It's a kind of
inky.
It's like an inky sort of fluid that's essential to the process that gives her life in the film. Which stains her face. It's almost like an ink blot on her face, isn't it? They kind of model themselves on that, and they go out with pistols and kind of like cause a ruckus.
Yes, social uprising.
Yeah, and I just thought, that was and we're not the first people to say this. In fact, when I went on Letterboxd, a lot of people were kind of drawing those parallels to Joker on that basis, not just because of that, but also the kind of genre stuff we said before, and the kind of awkward recontextualization of, far more sort of freer genres of the past. But I just wondered what your take was on that scene, especially given that it's already been done before and was already, which was quite poorly done in the Joker. This because it is ham-fisted. Yeah. Sorry, I asked you the question, I answered it.
No, you take it out of the film, it's the same film, and that's a problem in and of itself.
Yes,
it's gotta have some bearing on the plot or on the themes of the film, and it doesn't. You could take out a couple of the gags that come with it towards the end. There's a character who has got on board with this movement, and it's sort of a throwaway costume change for her. But you take it out, it's the same film. It still has the same characters, it still has the same plot. Like, I don't know why they included it, because it doesn't ever resolve itself either. You don't see the resolution of this. You don't get given a kind of moral... there's no moral through line, or there's no kind of ultimate... What does this mean? It doesn't play with it nearly enough. It ends... in fact, the film ends with a real weird, like, whimper, because the idea is that both of them are kind of... There's like a... the Bonnieandclyde thing. Again, they both just get peppered with bullets, don't they? But then they're on this table and the thing ignites, and you're just like, there's so many loose ends that you haven't tied up. And then it ends with that, which makes no sense. I don't quite know. I mean,
the implication is they're going to be brought back to life, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, to what end? What does that tell you about?
And the detective lets it happen. Yeah.
I didn't get it. Maybe I probably should do some more reading into like what that ending meant, but I just thought it was like, why are you writing it like this? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a very kind of, I mean, in the Joker, it's a sort of very gross simplification of very complicated social systems. And look, I'm not saying, again, it's I very much like with The Bride, it's like, it's not like I don't agree with that diagnosis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God, it's just the attempt to the attempt, the attempt to kind of shoehorn it in, an attempt to add some kind of gravitas, some kind of political wallop, I just think it feels a bit cheap.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because, it's something that could have been interesting. Again, if you just shaved off a couple of the fucking genres and just focused on something else, I think you could have had something. Actually, I'm going to go back on myself because I'm going to say I think if you shave all that shit off and keep it personal, you could have something just as impactful and say just as much about the kind of what we've already talked about in terms of the ideas around feminine rage, etc. You could do so much more with that.
Yeah.
Instead of having to kind of lean into these things to give it an expansive nature. And I think that kind of undermines a lot of the genre work and a lot of the character work as well.
Yeah.
It's strange because I didn't dislike the film at all. I actually there was something, I think Gyllenhaal, she's obviously, it's a quite a passion project for her. In the sense that, and there's an sort of exuberance to it that is kind of renders it quite likable in part. And I think the performances are good enough to see it through.
Yeah. Production design's really good.
The production design's good. There's a couple of really nice shots in the film.
Yeah.
Although I did take issue with the films. There's a kind of restless dynamism to the camera.
over reliance on that.
Yeah, I think at points it felt, and this is coming from someone who's like made one short film, so in the last like 10, 15, 20 years,
out this year, hopefully.
Yeah. Plug that. Yeah. Take notes, everyone. I just think it felt a little bit over-directed. I think it speaks to, there's a restlessness in genre that is mirrored in the restlessness in the approach, and I think that just letting some of the scenes play out from more static framing, I think, would suggest more confidence in the kind of story.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of can't help but think it's more indicative of the time we're in, where there's a restlessness. We want to kind of include these genres. We want to kind of, give people a sense of film history, perhaps many of which in the audience wouldn't, but we're going to do it. We're not going to stick with it for long.
Yeah.
And we're going to get worried because we don't want you to get lost in references that you're not going to understand. Because we very much live in an era of culturally with nostalgia. That we know people don't feel comfortable if they don't get references.
Yeah, right.
And narratives are hell bent on making sure that as an audience you're comfortable with understanding what's going on. So on the one hand, I thought it was quite interesting this film was even out in the first place. But on the other, I just thought it could have done with a little bit more conviction.
Yeah,
cinematically.
Yeah, no, I think so. It felt quite plain in places.
Yeah.
Especially like the drive-in theatre moments. Like that whole scene was kind of really weirdly directed. The blocking's weird. And everything's very kind of like shaky and sort of afterthoughty. But then there's some really, like you say, there's some like the bits with the swimming pool, like really composed really well. And there's that, again, I think they use the same colorist as the Joker because they really like invite comparisons visually as well to those films.
Sepia.
Quite a lot. Yeah, that kind of mustard yellow seeping into green and the sodium vapor lighting of the streets. But then you cut to a wide and it's like fucking Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby all of a sudden. And it like cheapens it so much. You didn't need to cut to that wide. Like I
often think that there's many films that are plagued by that. To give it, just keep it tight.
Yeah.
We already know what era we're in. We've been sat through 3/4 into the fucking film.
Yeah, save your money, honestly. Like you don't need it. You don't need an establishing shot of Times Square.
Shot.
Yeah,
Well, that was a bit ropey, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's just, I just feel like they're over designed, and they take you out of the era because they feel modern. These shots, and if you look back at like the French Connection or something, or a lot of films, Taxi Driver, films set in cities, to go back to that actual look and kind of the way that the background just sort of is steeped in darkness because the cameras had limitations, and I feel like if you plonk a kind of CG camera up on a crane. There's no limitations to that, and you can see right into the distance. It just really takes you out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird that so we went to see it in a Scots cinema, didn't we?
Yeah,
Which is
quite.
the first time I've been to one in Clifton, right?
Yeah, it's next to the Waitrose in Henleys, I think.
Oh, Henleys.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
okay. Never been there before. Quite enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's one of those weird little cinemas that you can't quite work out how it fits so much into such a seemingly small space.
Yeah.
What I mean is that it was weird that we had to go that far out to see it. So I guess that's kind of usually what that means is that the film isn't doing well. Theatres are pulling it early doors. It'd literally been out for like, what, a week?
Yeah, week, 2 weeks, something like
and
that.
And it was already being basically pushed to the fringes of
Yeah. Project Hail Mary, the guy, the projectionist is already about to load it. Just cast aside the bride.
Poor release timing, do you think? Because there's so many variables that can go into how a film is kind of received by general audiences.
Yeah. Poor release timing. Frankenstein already come out on Netflix. People had already watched it at home. It got some Oscar buzz. Not a huge amount, but a bit of Oscar buzz.
I actually preferred The Bride to the Frankenstein.
Yeah, I did as well. I think there's a lot more to love about it, and it was a lot bolder,
more fun.
Yeah.
But
under reliance on the leads, I think, because Christian Bale, he's a pretty dependable actor. Same with Jessie Buckley, obviously. She had some Oscar buzz with her coming out of Hamlet. Sorry. I know that they maybe had already cut the trailer by the time Hamlet came out and started getting its own buzz, but lean on it because she's in it and she's really good in it and she's giving it her all. And I think they tried instead to lean on the kind of pulpy patchwork of the film in the trailers, which I kind of admired visually. I really liked the sort of graphic design and the way the kind of ink in water effects. I thought the trailer was really well cut together, but and really well produced. But actually, I don't think the majority of audiences really cared for it a great deal. So yeah, different marketing strategy. Maybe delay the release by a little bit. Could it have been a summer blockbuster? I don't know.
It's an awkward film, isn't it? There's lots about it that it's just by its very nature quite awkward. And I couldn't quite work out where it would sit.
Yeah.
The film you released Valentine's Day, Halloween.
Fuck
October time.
That would have
worked. It's an October time film for me.
Yeah,
It has a kind of wintry vibe to it, I think.
Yeah,
not just because obviously not just because it's a sort of horror adjacent. I think you're right. Bad timing in terms of releasing it. And I think, audiences' levels of interest in the genres that it's leaning into perhaps isn't as there as
No, yeah. I mean, even like 10, 15 years ago, like Gangster Squad, that was another box office bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of think of those films, and I feel like TV is more suited to that genre now. Like, I think Boardwalk Empire did really well. I just think...
That sort of people associate it more with long-form content, you mean?
Completely. Yeah, more character-driven stuff.
Yeah, I'd not considered that. That's interesting.
I just think that's where it belongs at the moment. Maybe for better or worse.
You want a Bride series?
Yes, I do. 22 episodes, please.
6 seasons.
I want the budget to be stretched really thin. I want like 6 filler episodes in there, and I want all of it to be released at once. That's how it should be. No, I don't want any of that. It sounds horrendous. I'm glad it exists as is, really. I just think I'm interested to see what Gyllenhaal does next.
It's certainly, she's sort of swinging for the fences, isn't she? Because I mean, her last film seemed like a kind of comparatively more sedate affair, like a family drama, right?
COVID era release, and it wasn't a huge release, but it was admired. I remember it being admired at the time, and obviously Olivia Colman, she's very good at casting, I think, or her casting director is very good at casting.
She's got good connections, I guess. She's
been
in the industry a long time.
Buckley was in that one as well, and that's a much better film, but it's a very different film. That is the territory of that film is firmly in one genre, which is just basically a soft, sedate drama, very inward looking and very good, and a really good debut. I think maybe that's her roots that she needs to return to for a bit. Not, I mean, do what you want, Maggie. Yeah, you don't need to listen to me.
Ben Kersey thing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of directors do that, don't they? They make a kind of like low budget. They make a low budget debut, then suddenly they give them money to realise something bigger.
Do their passion project.
Yeah, it's just interesting, and obviously with that comes more control, right?
Yeah.
And that control is going to be dictated by what they think is
Yeah.
going to sell, and that often means that you're at odds.
Yeah,
I don't know, and I felt that in this film.
Yeah, definitely. Nice.
Yeah, window dressing. I said before. There we go. But again, not. I didn't. I'm glad. I'm quite glad I went to see it.
Yeah. Cool cinema. Cool.
Yeah, I'd like
experience.
to go again.
Yeah,
let's go there a bit more.
Cool. I'll put it on the list.
Oscars
2025. 2026 Oscars, but for the 2025.
2025, yeah. Not many surprises, I didn't think.
No.
Obviously, Buckley, that was a shoe-in, wasn't it? There's no way that.
Yeah.
I was surprised that one battle after another one.
Same.
Yeah.
Big
Quite
time.
so much. Paul Thomas Anderson's first Oscar, right?
Yeah. I just assumed he'd won for a previous film, but I guess not. Quite often takes a little while for people to appreciate his work, I suppose. But this one was very much, although like it sort of lost money, but I think that was always the expectation for it.
Films of that ilk are always going to lose money.
Yeah. Films, DiCaprio vehicles, which I know the film's a lot more than that, but it comes with a hefty price tag. It wouldn't surprise me if he got a back end deal and 30 plus million to himself, and then on top of that, you got some supporting cast members who are quite handsomely paid, I imagine, and shooting in a really weird format. It's going to make for an expensive movie.
Yeah.
I was really surprised by how well it did. Not that it's a bad film. I kind of preferred Sinners, though.
Yeah, well, did well. Obviously, best cinematography.
Yes.
First female winner.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
right.
award. Deserved. The film was beautifully shot. Very much in keeping with the kind of feel and tone and themes of the film.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally in cahoots with it. And Michael B. Jordan picking up Best Actor, which was something that I think people kind of expected as the Oscar race heated up.
Yeah.
Mostly because Chalamet kind of torpedoed his own Oscar campaign, it seems.
He did, yeah.
Slagging off opera. Apparently, don't do that if you want to win an Oscar, because that seemed to have really fucked you over.
I know, yeah.
And I think it kind of represented, I think he was trying to, inadvertently, no, actually not inadvertently, I think probably quite deliberately, is representing this kind of restless, irritating youth that kind of doesn't see value in art forms that he isn't interested in.
Yeah.
And I guess because they're considered comparatively older and fustier to like films and whatever, or even though film in itself is kind of having a battle with kind of other mediums for people's interest.
Yeah.
In the sort of digital age and short form content, it's interesting.
Yeah. That's what a lot of criticism was leveled at him for. That it's like, well, the thing that you're involved in is also undergoing the same change.
Yeah.
How dare you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was quite funny.
Weird.
Yeah,
getting a bit too big for his boots, I think.
I think there's a late stage moment where people really start to appreciate actors being humble and not bragging and not being brash and not being, front center. And he's never been like that. He's always been quite, in that sort of youthful exuberance kind of way.
Yeah,
he doesn't really give a shit about being humble, I think, and that ultimately didn't do him any favors. But it's funny. Part of me thinks, I don't know whether the voters had already voted by that time anyway, or ultimately, I don't know which performance I'd say I preferred. I'm glad Michael B. Jordan won because I thought he was really great in the sort of smoke/stack role. In Sinners, I did think Chalamet was really good in Mighty Supreme, and I can't quite work out which film I prefer overall. I think I love Sinners for its. I think stylistically it elevated it.
Well, that's another great example of a fucking good genre movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Genre movie, but injected with with a sort of rich themes.
Yeah.
That
really.
are tied intrinsically to all involved.
Yeah.
I think he was a deserving winner.
Yeah.
I obviously I loved Mighty Supreme. Thought it was a great film. I think the sort of the reveal of the reason between the Safdie brothers split probably didn't help the film's chances either.
No.
Chalamet's chances.
No.
Accusations of on-set conduct not being great with young.
Yeah, underage
actresses. Yeah, so I mean, that's understandably not going to help your chances. But I thought that was quite an interesting change because it seemed like it was for the longest time in the bag for Chalamet. And if anyone was going to take it from him, I'm glad it was Michael B. Jordan. I guess that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, definitely.
What else? Who else won?
I mean, One Battle took away most of them, didn't they? It took Best Director, Best Film.
Supporting Actor for Sean Penn, who wasn't at the Oscars. He was in...
Yeah, where was he? It was something... It was quite funny, wasn't it?
Was he in Ukraine?
Yeah. I can't remember where
Such a Sean Penn thing to do.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
From my cursory research, he planned to visit Ukraine. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
weird.
Plane got delayed or something. Fair enough. I thought his performance was very good.
He was very good.
Yeah,
it's hard to. Who won Best Supporting Actress then?
Amy Madigan for Weapons.
Right. That was a weird. I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't either. I thought again she was fantastic in it, but the performance was very visually driven by a lot of like overt makeup, and I mean she blended seamlessly into Weapons, which means for me it wasn't like a standout role, but that was maybe the point. And fair play. I mean, horror did really well this year at the Oscars. I was really deliciously happy about that.
Yeah.
Sinners and Weapons getting Oscars. That's some good stuff there.
Yes.
Sure. Amy Madigan. I mean, well done. Well done to her.
Yeah, that's about the limit of my knowledge on it, really.
It's with each passing year, it gets less relevant to me, and I hope one day that changes, because it isn't like I feel like it's funny because you don't want there to be any kind of inciting incident to drum up the numbers and the publicity for the Oscars, like what happened with Will Smith a couple of years ago. Like that was a really ugly moment, and I thought I just really didn't like the way that was handled at the actual event and then afterwards as well, the way that news propagated. But then having nothing also makes me forget who won really quickly. So, I mean, don't know what that says about me.
Someone needs to slap Chris Rock on stage, apparently. I'm reading between the lines, Ben. But...
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. No, you read exactly between the lines.
Good. Yeah. Who was the host? Conan O'Brien?
Yeah. Was it? I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't watch any of it.
I very little interest in the pomp and the ceremony. And I find it odd that films have to compete with one another. But there is something alluring about it. I hate to admit it. I think it's maybe the sort of the history, the lineage, something. I guess that might be a little bit about what it is. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it's not something I don't know. I think when you hear people talk about the way in which the films are voted for and how historically it's not, it's been easy to kind of manipulate those votes. I think that makes it lose value. I think it's more of a popularity contest in that sense than a lot of other awards ceremonies that seem a little bit more orientated around the films themselves, and less about the people, the stars.
Yeah.
But I guess that's Hollywood, really, isn't it? And that's something Hollywood cultivated pretty much from the get-go. And that's something that will probably stay with them for as long as it's sort of relevant.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm never really been a huge fan anyway, but it's interesting to note, I guess.
I think Paul Thomas Anderson film winning all those Oscars, if it wasn't One Battle After Another, who would you like? What would you give it to? The equivalent? Because I kind of feel like that's long overdue, and it's kind of like Scorsese winning for The Departed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't hate the film, and I really liked it, and I thought it was very a very entertaining watch. But
he always lost out, didn't he? He always lost out
Yeah,
And it got to a point where it was like, is this some kind of fucking joke?
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Scorsese, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it was nice to see him win it, old Paulie boy. You know, obviously how much of a big fan I am.
I think he should have got it for There Will Be Blood. I think that should have been the point where he got his Oscar. Because I think There Will Be Blood's a better film than One Battle After Another. I think Boogie Nights is better than One Battle After Another as well. I just personally prefer those films. But anyway, I'm not an Oscar voter, so don't worry.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
I'm sure after this episode, we definitely will be.
Sent the email, so watch this space.
Yeah.
I'll be on there. I'll be getting a DVD with a watermark with my name on the watermark.
Oh,
I think that's how it does.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Well, it did
I'm
historically.
sure it's not that difficult to become a voter. Certainly for the BAFTAs. I'm sure I know someone that was, and it was like, you're not even that into film.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like apply for a sort of job in Sainsbury's. It's like, be a BAFTA voter.
Yeah.
Do you watch stuff? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love TV.
You into packing lettuce?
I don't dislike it.
No, I mean, I probably will when I start working here. Outtro?
Outtro.
Questing the cinematic void.
Well, there we have it then.
Yes.
El Brido, known in the United Kingdom as the Bride. Sorry. Yeah. I enjoyed talking about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks to Maggie.
Thank you, Maggie. Looking forward to seeing what you do next.
I mean, we did just sort of slag off quite a lot of the film.
Yeah.
Contrary to what we've just spent the last 40 minutes saying, didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
I didn't come away thinking that was a waste of time, which means there's plenty of fun to be had.
Absolutely.
You're probably just not going to be a loser like us about it. And it's not like it doesn't do the well properly. You know.
That's it. Curious to see what she does next, of course. Yeah. What are we doing next week?
The Peaky Blinders film.
Yes. No.
No, absolutely not. I hated flat caps already. One of the great achievements, I think, of Peaky Blinders in general is making them even lamer.
Yeah, and also popularising a haircut which was meant to be for getting rid of head lice. So there's that as well.
I think it's unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, I've not seen any of it. It really isn't my thing at all.
No.
And I think it's the subculture around it that's made me not want to watch it even more.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell me how great it is, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
It's just a sect of men co-opted it into...
And that's not...
It's not the show's fault either.
Fault, no.
And it's not about that at all. And it's just... it's set in an era which was very male-dominated and in a kind of... especially in that sphere, and it just got people really took it on board.
Who did fucking Lock, Stock?
Guy Ritchie
adjacent almost.
No, we're not going to see that. You've already seen the film in question.
Yeah.
It's The Station Agent. No, it's not. It's The Secret Agent.
Yeah,
we said
I'm glad
we'd do
you picked
it.
this, Ben. I left it the ball in your court. You haven't seen it yet. It's still playing at the Watershed.
Yeah.
We kind of want to make a bit more of a conscious effort to focus on films like that.
Yes.
We've been a slag for the big films. We're still averaging about 5 views an episode anyway, so fuck it. We'll go down with the ship and go for a Brazilian sort of mystery film, which I really, really, really liked. I'm very much looking forward to talking about that. I think it'll open up an interesting discussion about a bit about Brazilian cinema, maybe.
Cool.
Could do with swatting up a bit on that, to be honest. But,
Same.
I've seen a few of the sort of, obviously, the tentpole Brazilian films.
The City of God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've seen one Brazilian film,
Elite Squad.
Oh, fuck, yeah, okay. All right, you're pulling some more out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, but, Cinema Novo, which is obviously a huge kind of cultural moment in the kind of 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
So I might have a little go at sort of trying to unearth some of those gems, because I think the film it's brought those films back up into the kind of the discussions of, film people.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Nice. City of God, the poster is in our intro.
It is.
Next to an Attack of the Clones poster. For
It's
those
very much
watching on YouTube. Yeah.
That intro definitely captures the vibe, my vibe of that period. I
Yeah.
thought because I'd seen City of God, I was cinema.
Yeah, I'd made it. I didn't need to
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
any more films.
No.
I was a world
I was
cinema
happy to sit and
expert.
play Attack of the Clones,
Yeah,
or indeed Star Wars Battlefront with What's It Dust covered hands.
I've seen City of God.
Have you?
My mum's got Amelie on DVD. I might watch that later. What of it? What of it? Yeah, it's not in English.
It's the sort of film student equivalent of My Dad Could Beat Up Your Dad. Isn't
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
it? My Dad's got Lives of Others on DVD.
Yeah, well, my mum's got Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh,
None of these films are in English. None of them.
none of them. No.
And I still liked it, despite, I don't mind reading subtitles. That's just the kind of guy I am.
Cultured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excessively cultured, some say.
Yeah, so that's look forward to. We're looking forward to that. I'm glad, like I say, glad you picked it because I really loved it. So I'm looking forward to gushing about that.
Nice.
Go to the Instagram.
Yeah,
Say it
yeah.
again. Vote, please.
Vote.
Very much looking forward to doing that. But in the meantime, thank you for getting to the end of another episode.
Thank you very much. Catch you in the next one.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened. My brain just sort of died temporarily.
It's fine.
Take it easy, look after yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.